I was a navigator in World War II. I had basic training in Miami Beach, Florida. We did a lot of training on the beach. I had gone to Fort Leavenworth, where I had a choice of what division I wanted to go into, and I chose the Air Force. And cadet training. And we had an officer club that I was an officer by that. When I graduated from Hondo Navigation School, I became a first lieutenant. And part of that training was rifle range, gunnery practice, and then flying Piper Cubs. It was a small, popular, two-seated plane at that time, one engine. Graduated from there, and then was assigned to a 10-man crew down in Tucson, Arizona. And that's where I met and trained with my pilot, co-pilot, engineer, radio operator, 4 gunners, and bombardier, and me. And then eventually were sent to Topeka, Kansas, where we knew that was a port of debarkation, first port, and we knew we were going overseas as a crew. We boarded a ship, and I don't know, I got a little mixed up on my information. I think it took us 30 days to get across. We landed in Naples, Italy. A week or two when we went to our base, which was, we're in southern central Italy. I wrote a lot of short letters to my mother and dad and family. They passed it around to my older brothers and sisters. And the reason I did is that was my only communication for them to know that I was still alive, I'm still okay. So I wrote short letters. And my one daughter has put this album, which has just started. I've got about 500.
Oh my gosh.
But the adjutant marched from his back post out to where he gives the command is 180 steps a minute in this kind of position. There were limitations on our flying. Weather was one. So if the weather was bad and we couldn't fly, then I had time to write. Or I wasn't scheduled to fly. I had a day off. That gave me time to write. When we weren't flying a mission, we often had a practice, a training flight out of our base in southern Italy, out of enemy territory. We slept in tents. I got pictures of that. We didn't have any writing tables, so I was writing on a cardboard, so I was kept busy and taking care of the tent. But it leaked, and whenever it rained, it caused problems, and we dug ditches and what do we call them? Trenches, too. There was a name for them around the tent to keep it out. We kept it out usually, but sometimes it got into the tent. So, the first mission, they did not want a new crew going out by themselves for the first time together. So they broke us up, flying with experienced crews that had been in combat. A pilot was shot down and killed. I was taken off at the briefing time in the morning for no known reason except this happened 3 times. I was scheduled to fly. All 10 in the crew was killed. The plane that my bombardier and engineer, flight engineer, were in was shot down, but they were prisoners of war. The first mission like that with a broken up crew, we lost 4 men out of 10. Then I flew with this crew. Rambo was the pilot's name. So I flew with Rambo about 10 missions, and on August the 24th, it was my last mission with them, and I was shifted to a different crew, again, with my mother and dad praying. very, very hard, in my opinion. They went down. I flew with them on August 24th. They next flew on August the 28th, and they went down on August the 28th, shot down. They all perished. They all got out. The other 9 became prisoners of war. This guy lived underground for 9 months. This is a book about his experience living underground. How he lived for 9 months in barns and in people's houses, underneath beds, and one time the Nazis knew that he was out there someplace. They got the other 9 guys, but they didn't get him. And so they knew he was in the area someplace. So they would come by and check on these houses that he was staying in the barns and in the haylofts. And one time they knew that the Nazi soldiers were in the area looking for him. So the family that was taking care of him had 2 daughters and 3 sons. The mother put him in bed, at the foot of the bed, with one of her daughters, and covered her all up, powdered her face, and when the Nazis came, begged them not to disturb her sick daughter. And he was sleeping. Okay, so I flew with other crews, and as I say, 2 more times, I was scheduled to fly, I had been flying with this crew, and then after briefing in the morning, we'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have breakfast and then briefing, and then finally get off the ground by dawn. But my name was on the flight list in 2 other experiences where I was transferred to a different group, and they went down. So I was very fortunate. Had experiences of coming back with 2 engines, with a 4-engine plane. 2 of them shot out, and on the other side of the Alps, and having to get over the Alps or through passes, that became a navigation problem. And pilot training too. But on one mission, when we only had 2 engines, and we were by ourselves, which made us sitting ducks for enemy planes, the pilot that said, throw everything out that is movable. So we threw out radios, flak jackets, helmets, steel helmets, anything movable, guns, ammunition, to lighten the plane so we could keep altitude and get through the Alps. And we made it, but it was touch and go. I had to get 50, what they call missions, to get back home. After 50 missions, and there were missions and sorties. I don't know if you know what sortie means. Sortie means take off and landing and bomb and come back safely. That a mission. Some sorties, like the one that my crew on that first mission went down on, we got credit for 2 sorties. So I had to have 35 sorties or 50 missions. And for some of those sorties, I got credit for 2.